Well, hello, everyone. As Ethan said, I am Dr. Marianne McMillan, and I am the Assistant Director of Campus Ministries. This is my third year here at Jessup. Time is flying. And I'm excited to be here this morning just to share with you guys, and I'm excited to have my student leaders up here shortly to be able to, for you guys to hear just what we're doing this year with outreach. So I normally speak about once a year. They normally let me speak just once. And I normally speak around the same time every year. This is normally the chapel where we normally roll out all of our global outreach opportunities for the year. But because of COVID, we won't be having any global outreach trips this year at all. I know, it's really sad. Because this is normally the time where you guys hear about all the different countries, the locations, and all of the ministries. Just, the university just wants to keep everyone safe, and we just think it's best for this year. But there's still ways that you guys can get plugged in this year. So we're continuing with our John 10:10 passage for the semester, and we are talking about just things that have been stolen from us, things that have been taken from us, and how to reclaim it. And yes, our global outreach trips have been taken from us, but it honestly hasn't. Things have not been stolen from us. So let me have y'all think through a few questions. Did you know that you don't have to go overseas to serve and to love your neighbor? Did you know that there's so much work to be done in the U.S. right now? Did you know that the majority of the people who go overseas and serve as missionaries would rather go overseas and love people of a different race than to love their neighbors here that are a different race? Did you know that several countries in the world are actually sending missionaries to the States right now to help us reach the lost here? Think about that. People are sending missionaries here to reach us. It's so sad to think about it, but it's so needed. Why are they doing this? Have you guys actually turned the news on lately? There's so much going on here in our country. We have the pandemic that's happening. We have so much stuff going on with racial injustice. There's fires. All of you smelled the smoke walking in this morning. And we have a big election coming up. These are just a few things that we need to work on and we need to pray through. And these are ways that you guys can still get plugged in. There's so much brokenness here, and there's so many people hurting. Our country is in desperate need of a savior. Our country is our new mission field. So there's an image on the screen. Well, there will be an image on the screen shortly. And I love this image. I'm a Georgia girl. So I'm from the South, and Georgia is in the Bible Belt, as they would say. There is a church on every corner, literally every corner, and everybody in the Bible Belt thinks that they're a believer. Thanks. And a lot of these churches will have this sign in the parking lot as you're driving out of the church. I love it because it's such a great reminder that we are going out into our mission field here. You attend church, you learn a few things, and now you have to go out and actually apply it to the areas where you're living and where you're serving. Times like this, with the pandemic and everything that's going on in the world, times like this, times of crisis, is the best time to serve. Times like these do try our souls. Times like this calls believers to share Christ with urgency. One of the effects of this moment is that non-believers are more receptive to the gospel today in times like this. There are 4 circumstances in life that people are more open to having spiritual conversations. Can you guess what those 4 circumstances are? Christmas, Easter, when there's a national crisis, and when there's a natural disaster. These are the best times to be able to share. A friend of mine, as you guys probably don't know this, I actually served as a full-time missionary for a few years, and I've served in about 30 different countries, taking the gospel to the nations. And one of the countries that I actually lived in was a former Soviet country. And a friend of mine, him and his wife, actually moved to that country a few months after the Soviet Union collapsed. And he said during his first term, which a term is normally 3 to 4 years for a missionary couple, his first term, they saw thousands of people that came to Christ those few years. He said because they have gone through so many years of just unrest, the people in those countries could not rely on the government, they went through famine, and they had nothing to hope in and nothing to hope for. And he said God placed him there during that time to bring those people hope. And he said it was only during those years where they saw thousands of people come to the Lord, because he says after that, it was really hard for them to see any fruit in their ministry, but those first few years were great. So that was the time to do it. So you're probably asking, what can I actually do? Like, what can we do during this time? Like, we can't really go out. We can't really see a lot of people. You can pray. Prayer always works. People always need prayer. There's prayer. You can pray for your family members. Some of you who are watching have been at home for the last 6 months, and there's probably a few family members that you're like, if you don't come to the Lord today, we're going to fight, because they need the Lord. So pray for your family members. Pray for your community. Pray for doors to open and boldly take advantage of those opportunities. Create a list of people to pray for daily. Plan regular times to spend with your lost friends. You can do that online. Get a chance to know your neighbors. Serve safely. Safely is the key word there, because you got to wear masks, got to stay 6 feet apart, wear your hazmat suit. You got to go through all of that in order to serve. But there's tons of churches in the area here that are still doing stuff in the community. We may not be able to go out this year in the community with local outreach or with do things globally, but churches are still running and still doing things. There's a ton of organizations in the area that are looking for people to serve with feeding the homeless, with working in food pantries. There's also online small groups, like connect with unbelievers. Use social media as your platform. Small groups, virtual mission trips. Some organizations right now are doing virtual mission trips. Grow. Take this time to grow in your faith, like strengthen your relationship with the Lord, like really spend that time. And lastly, look for opportunities to show compassion. This summer, Jessup actually partnered with Convoy of Hope, and me and another staffer had the opportunity to pass out food to local churches. And we had several churches a week that would come and get food for their local communities, because they said, yes, we're so stuck at home, but these people have lost their jobs. They need food. They need people to come and love on them. So my challenge to you for this year is make the best use of this year. Those of you that are wanting to serve overseas in the future, use this year as your training year while the doors are closed. Get your feet wet with outreach and serve in your local community. If you begin pursuing outreach right now, the world will likely look different by the time you get ready to go. But if you wait until things are certain, you won't be ready to go when the doors reopen. So that's my challenge to you for you guys. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, and I'm going to invite a few of my student leaders up here to kind of share with you just their heart and how this whole year is going to look very different for them and what they're going to do. So you guys can join me. All right. Hey, guys. I'm glad I don't have to be up here by myself anymore. All right. So tell me who you are, your name, what year you're in, and any missions or outreach experience you have done at Jessup or outside of Jessup.
How's it going, everybody? So my name is Grayson. I am a junior here at Jessup. And so it's mission experience, right?
Yeah.
And so in high school, I did a lot of I did a couple of trips overseas. I went to Germany and Czech Republic once when I was back then. And then I'd done a lot of like local service, like especially in high school, I did a ton of serving at a Feed the Homeless every Sunday when I was growing up, and stuff like that. So a little bit more local stuff.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Deb. I'm a senior here, and I have some experience in the mission field. My first mission trip was when I was in junior high. I think it was in 7th, 8th grade or something. I went to Skid Row, Hollywood, LA, that area. That was pretty awesome. And then, any YWAMers in here?
Yes.
I did a DTS with YWAM, and that was just an amazing experience, like a 6-month, pretty much like discipleship journey. It was amazing. And so, yeah, the rest is pretty much local. Yeah.
All right, I'm Emily. I'm a junior here at Jessup. I think my first experience with missions happened around when I was like 14. I went to a Bible camp that taught me how to minister to young kids, and then I put on like 5-day camps for them, and that's where I first like got introduced to missions. And then in high school, I went to Mexico twice and did some VBSs there. That was a blast. And then I just got on fire for missions, and I came here in my freshman year. I went to the Czech Republic with a team and served at a Christian library there. So yeah.
Sweet, thank you guys. All right, so how has COVID affected your position this year? And how have you adapted to the challenges and changes?
Yeah, so my position actually got dissolved completely. I was the global outreach intern with Emily and then John, who's back there. And so our job was actually plan and coordinate and train people for the mission field, like globally. And so that position just got kind of taken out. But that's okay. So then I was put into local outreach position, so like in-reach and outreach. And at first, I was really frustrated. I remember the day I got the email from you, I actually texted Emily like right away. I was like, what happened? Like I was just so... I actually considered like leaving my position, but thankfully Emily calmed me down a little bit, and I think
Thanks, Emily.
it really made me adapt and realize a verse I thought about was like Jesus told us to go like to all corners of the earth and spread His good news. Well, Rockland is actually a corner of the. Well, it's not a corner, but like it's in the earth as well, so it needs to be covered as well, and I think it needs to be taken care of.
I think for me, when I found out, there was a lot of disappointment, but then when we started doing training, I think I had to enter a like heart of humility because I didn't know what I was doing, and I had to take the position of a learner because I felt so prepared to be a missions leader. Like I was like, this is where my heart is. I feel prepared and ready, and I was excited. But when it got changed, I think I had to step into that heart of humility. Like, Emily, you don't know what you're doing. And just become a learner. So that was difficult, but good.
I was shook. I didn't know till like a day or two into training, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Really, I was really shocked because of I was supposed to go to Kenya this summer with our Kenyan team, and so I was really bummed about that. But I was so stoked after that because my hope was to be able to work with John and Grayson and Emily. And so for me, it worked out just fine because I love working with them. Yeah.
Yeah. And Grayson, you and Emily were on a team last year, right?
Yes, I was supposed to go into a team to the Philippines, and then, yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, I was supposed to go first to India, and then my leader left. Then I got switched to Cambodia, and that trip got canceled. So one disappointment after the other.
So if we can't serve globally or even locally, why should we even try to serve?
I think for this question, I kind of want to just like share a little story. I went to the Czech Republic my freshman year, like I already said. And for while I was there, I didn't know really, when I signed up for the trip, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing there. But when we got there, it was a ton of what I would call like behind the scenes work. When we got there, we were kind of just in the library and helping with like small tasks. and helping the missionaries who were already there, like the full-time missionaries. And I was feeling pretty discouraged by like the end of the first week. I was just like, God, why do you have me here? I could have just stayed home and did some of this stuff. And I was feeling kind of useless and like not a missionary, because I had this expectation of a missionary, like they're going to go change the world, they're going to be on the streets ministering to people, and I didn't really understand how God was using me. And while I was there, every night I read Bob Goss' book. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's pretty awesome. He's a great author, and he wrote the book, I think it's called Everybody Always, and I read this while I was on the trip, and it says, the neat part is most of the people I know who go on mission trips are already doing exactly that. We don't need to call everything we do a ministry anymore. Just call it a Tuesday, because that's what people who are becoming loved do. And when I read that, my world was kind of rocked. I was just like, oh, that's right. I can be a missionary here. I'm just going to call it a Tuesday. It's a normal day, and I'm living for Jesus. And so I think we can do that here in Rockland, California. Like, this is where God's placed you. So just call your ministry a Tuesday and live your life for Jesus. So
That's awesome. Thank you for that. All right. What are some of the biggest needs and concerns in our country today, and why should we be involved?
This is such a tough question. There's so much going on. Like, if you don't know, like, that kind of frustrates me, because we should be involved, especially as believers, because we need to speak into certain topics that are happening. Racial injustice that's happening, sex trafficking that's happening, child abuse. I mean, these are things that are going on today in our own town. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like, we should be at the forefront of these issues to be able to show other people, other believers, like, hey, these are how we value other people. This is how we show love to other people. And that's really how we get our message across about Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? It's not going and just being like, you need Jesus. It's like, look, I'm going to have a conversation with you. I'm going to love you. I'm going to figure these things out. And you know what I mean? Like, becoming even allies with other people and allyship. And it's just, we should be there. These are our brothers and sisters in Christ, and if not, they are children of God regardless. And so, I just think that Jesus' heart was love, and he went out to the people who are supposedly like the unreachable, the untouchable, the unlovable, and he went out and lifted them up. And he didn't lift them up to where he was. He lifted them higher to where he was, where we now can come in alignment with him and be in full relationship with him and the Father.
Preach.
I did not expect to say all that.
Emily, did you want to say something?
I think I love what Deb said, and I think another part of that is you have to stay super close to Jesus every day. Like, you have to be in his word and talk to him, because he's going to call you and he's going to tell you where he wants you to serve. And if you're super close with Jesus, then it's going to be pretty obvious. But don't use that as an excuse either. Don't be like, God didn't call me anywhere. He's not telling me to do anything. I think you need to be bold. Like, we're all called to be bold, and that's just like a given. So I would encourage you to just step out of your comfort zone, because that's what it's going to require. You have to be bold for Jesus and do things you normally wouldn't do, but also stay close to Jesus.
Yes. That's awesome. Thank you for that. So that is all we have for you guys today. Thank you so much for being here, and make sure you get plugged in this semester. If you have any questions for us, we'll be in the back, or you can stop by Student Life and visit with us. Thank you.